Hey, hi. I'm Linda K. Gifford, getting back from my friend's swimming pool. I should be working today. I'm Linda K. Gifford. I'm a sexual assault survivor. I'm a coach. I went through 7 years of grooming and sexual assault as a child. I own feelgoodfairtrade.com. I founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. And today we are continuing our lesson in SPADES, which is my trigger management guide, the acronym for it. We have worked our way through the shame is not yours, S in SPADES. This shame and guilt are not yours. The second step is separate the past from the present. And that's what we're going to work on today. So separating the past from the present is the hardest thing for those with PTSD of any sort, much less complex PTSD. Let me just get this right. I'm sorry. I've got this like balanced on a milk crate because I left my computer stand at my friend's house where I went to escape today. I needed to do a lot of work, but some days you just need to say, screw it. And this is one of those days for me. And that's part of what I want to teach you. Disassociating for good, not evil. I disassociated from my life today. I said, screw it. And I took the day and hung out in my friend's little baby pool in the backyard. And you know what? I needed that. Don't be afraid to do what you need to do. Don't be afraid to take time for yourself. I'm one of these people that sleeps literally 3 hours a night, 5 max. I almost never can get more than 3 hours of sleep. And since I've had COVID, I usually only sleep 1 or 2 hours in a row and do that maybe twice in a night. So, and I can't nap. I don't understand this concept of laying down in the daytime and going to sleep. So for people like me, sometimes you just need to take a break. Take it. So we've been talking, really kind of been Sunday schooling it even on my lessons lately because there's so much going on in the world that it's very hard not to comment on it because it has so much to do with women's inequities. What Afghanistan has done for me is, yes, to my accusers, I've got some haters online big time. I posted a meme. Actually, I just made a comment to my partner, and then I went, hey, that's a good meme. So I turned it into a meme this morning. And I was like, okay. And an anti-vaxxer, I said to them, I literally don't care if you live or die. And they said I was being uncaring. I'm like, is it that obvious? And then like, boom, that's an obvious meme. Because you know what? When people refuse to learn, educate themselves, and do the right thing in their own life and for the lives of other people, then, I'm not on board. So anti-vaxxers, I am at the point, I'm back to Sunday school instead of lessons, aren't I? But it all ties together. Anti-vaxxers, I'm sorry that you're morons. I have felt sorry for your children and your elderly and the people you expose who, and the ignorance. And I've talked about trying to educate people and whatever, but it's at the point, like some people are like, oh, well, look at you going out. It's like, yeah, I do go out. I go out, I listen to music, I dance, I go to adult venues. My child is 16 years old and vaccinated. I am also vaccinated, and I'm going to get a third vaccine, and I'll probably take 150 goddamn more if these morons don't stop developing variants. If they're going to just keep developing variants, that's what we're going to do. And so I've gotten a lot of hate this week, a lot of hate. But in the midst of the hate, I get some love too. And I got to say thank you for the love, those of you who understand what I'm saying, which is there comes a point where you just can't do anymore. I wear a mask everywhere I go. I trust that when I go to an adult venue where people are playing music outside and everyone there that I know is vaccinated, I trust that people with small children who might be affected are not there. And if they are, I'm sorry, but I can't be the guardian of everybody else like I was trying to be. So at some point, it's just sad, but you just have to be like, okay, you say that you're putting it in God's hands, and everyone has a different idea of what and who God is. But okay, put it in God's hands. Just stay out of the goddamn hospitals when you get sick. I don't want anybody being turned away for a heart surgery or a chemotherapy treatment, or reasonable people trying to be well, turned away because you refused a vaccine, and then you want hospital care. And then people are telling me that I'm uncaring because obviously if you refuse the vaccine, why in the world would anybody give you hospital care? I mean, if you couldn't be vaccinated, that's different, but you have the chance, and the science is there. It's simple science. So that gets down to the lesson today. We're going to work big on disassociation, which is the D. Okay, the P, actually separate the past from the present, involves dissociation, however you want to say it. Both words are correct. But I'm going to pull in, like I do pretty much every week now, educate and advocate, which is the E in spades. All we can do is educate and advocate, and I encourage you to do so. So as far as being a sexual assault survivor, someone who spent years being groomed, taught to perform sex acts, and then eventually raped for several more years of my childhood, I have grown up with this amazing ability to swallow all of those memories and try not to think about them. And when I discovered how badly that was hurting me in my life and let it out, which was all by accident for me. For me, it was all a matter of marriage counseling turned into sexual abuse counseling. My counselor actually cut off my then husband and said, he's a pathological liar. Based on our own notes together, you need to move on. I did. So kicking and screaming, I came to the point of realizing how much I had let these buried memories. They're not buried. I mean, I totally remember them. I remember everything clear as day, but still we have this amazing ability to disassociate and swallow that crap. And what happens is you start to feel it and then you push it down. And then most of us, maybe you're better than me, but I would do a lot of drugs. I would drink a lot. I would just whatever, anything to take myself out of the moment and not deal. So here we are. You and I, we're together. We're going to deal. That's what we're going to do. So welcome to dealing with your issues. And guess what? No matter how bad you think you've got it, they're probably not nearly as bad as you think. Because I was just talking to my friend Teresa about this today. We are in the same club as at least a third of the other women and men that we know. So what I'm talking about is something that I can look around me and statistically know at least a third of the people in my world, in the store, on the street, at the park, whatever, have also experienced. So we have a mass ability, a mass cultural predisposition, if you will, to minimize our own trauma. And sexual assault is minimized by other people to the point that, they guilt and shame you. It's your fault. You don't want to tell. It's no big deal. Get over it. We minimize. But there is nothing on this earth that I've ever experienced that was more present in my mind and body than my trauma. And that's the problem. That's why I have c-PTSD, and that's why you have c-PTSD, because this trauma was embedded in us in such a way that we never filed it away properly in our minds. We never made a chronological sequence, figured it out, put it in a literary realm. We were like, we're bad. Something bad happened to us, and instead of putting it on ourselves or putting it on the person where it belongs, we put it on ourselves and say, I have to hide this. I talk now. I am blatantly open in the hopes that anybody who has been through this themselves, please realize, what prompted me to do this? Okay, yeah, he's an old man now. He is my niece and nephews and their children, my great nieces and nephews' grandfather. And it dawned on me, they won't listen to me, but surely they've got it by now because I put this out there. You need to watch your children, because a person who does this kind of thing will do it again. A person who looks at a child as a sexual being doesn't draw lines between their sister's, their wife's little sister, and their grandchild. I'm truly fearful for them, and that is why I started this. I started it to save my sanity and to just say, I was accused of jumping on the Me Too movement. It's like, yeah, you got that? Brilliant. It's for you. Because you know what? I'm grateful there's a movement to jump on. And I certainly belong there. If you haven't wondered if you were going to survive to live another day because a dick was choking you as a child and they wouldn't get it out of your mouth while they sat on top of you, yeah, I deal with those memories every damn day. And the way that I stay sane is my trigger management guide. So to those of you who say, oh, you're crazy, guess what? It was hard, and it still is very hard. And I don't want it to be that hard for everybody else. So we're going to separate the past from the present. And here's what's going on. When you have PTSD and when you have complex PTSD, either form, complex just means it happened over and over and over again, generally speaking, when you were a child, but it can apply to adults too. If you have repeated trauma and you learn to live with it and also function in the rest of your life and world, you split. You disassociate or dissociate. Dissociative disorder. I still prefer the word disassociate. It makes much more sense to me. And they're interchangeable, so I will use that. Sometimes my titles, I say dissociative because I only have so many characters I can put in a title before they cut me off. And so if I have to save letters, I'll say dissociative. But we disassociate all to hell, and it saved us. It was a good thing then. So then we grow up and they tell us in therapy and all that, you've got this problem, this disassociation problem, you disassociate, blah, 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 blah. And we do. I've been married and divorced 3 times. I am so capable of disassociating. Basically, when I'm done, I'm done. I am very black and white. There is no gray zone in my world. Some people see gray. I see right, I see wrong. I can definitively draw lines. And the thing is, after examining it, writing about it, and doing therapy about it, I realized that it's actually my superpower. My disassociation skills are my superpower, and they can be yours too. So rather than try to bury this supposedly negative trait that you developed through no fault of your own, because you have intelligence and your mind knew it had to separate parts of your experience from other parts of your experience. Now, I want you to look at that and say, I have the ability to draw a line. I have the ability to say yes and no. I have the ability to stop and start. I have the ability to make decisions and stick to them. So you can use this extreme ability to disassociate and separate into who you need to be at the moment. You can also use it for your own good. You can redirect it to be something positive for you. So what I encourage you to do is, and I talk to so many people, and this is the common thread, and that's why I'm bringing all this up today. Because that's where we are in the guide as we work through it. But so many people, they just seem so, what's the word I'm looking for? they've given up. They keep telling me the same thing over and over. I'm stuck. Why doesn't he love me? Why do they do this? Why? Um, and I'm like, you have to make a decision in your own life to move on. So you might need to disassociate from your entire family. You might need to disassociate from your husband or your whatever's keeping you trapped in a place that you don't feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable, great, you don't need any of this. But if you are feeling tortured and trapped, then instead of using your disassociation to go into yourself, to go into the rabbit hole, as I call it, to dive down some pit of despair, or do something unhealthy for yourself, how about in that moment when you could lose it, how about you go, I feel this feeling, and now I'm going to own it. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to look at reality and say, what do I really need to disassociate from? And so many people I know would prefer the drinking and the drugs and the sex and the whatever they do to just put it out of their mind, to just get it out of their mind. And if you have PTSD, you'll find those of us who have PTSD and c-PTSD can go to extremes of drunkenness, alcoholness, over sexness, whatever, just trying to not think. And so when you disassociate like that, and you're kicking your own ass, but you can take that same power of black and white, right and wrong, yes and no, and instead of kicking your own ass, why don't you kick the ass of the person who deserves it, or at least walk away from them? Okay, there is help out there. Please, the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, you can contact us and I will hook you up with whatever resources I can. If you are in imminent danger right now, the thing to do is to call the Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. I think that's 4673 HOPE. 1-800-656-HOPE. And it recognizes where you're calling from, and it'll hook you up with the closest resource center to you to get help right now. But for God's sake, and I do this. Today was hard for me. I started this day crying in my shower. I generally am pretty upbeat, but I had some setbacks, and I was just like, I can't go on. I can't do anymore. I climbed in my shower, and I laid on the bottom of it, which I like to do, and I just let the water pour on me, and I was thinking negative thoughts. And then I remembered my own teachings, and I'm like, is this serving me? I am jumping in the rabbit hole of despair right now. Is that going to solve my problem? No. Is it going to make my headache go away? No. What point does jumping in the rabbit hole, as I call it, of despair do for you? But it's where we all go. And I've talked about this before, and I'm going to say it again. As much as those of us with mental illness and PTSD like to say that that's something we want to avoid, is freakouts, I profess and believe and say for myself, a good freak out feels amazing. That's why we love it. That's why we love to cry, scream, black out, break something, get drunk, because it's such a fucking relief. It's such a fucking relief. And the problem is, it's a relief that doesn't give you any payback. And you've only got so much time and energy in this world to expend. So it seems to me, my time and energy would be better spent not freaking out. So you know what I did? I called my friend. Teresa. And she came over. She said, I'll be right there. And you know what? She did. She was right there. And then I went to her house and laid in the pool in her backyard. And yeah. You don't want to see the bottom because I am not bikini worthy, but it's in my friend's backyard. Who cares if I'm bikini worthy? There you go. This is my big belly. All right. The point is, I decided that rather than freak out and jump down the rabbit hole of despair, that I would actually reach out to another human being and say, and this is hard for me. I'm such a loner. I'm so good. I'm so happy alone for the most part. And I'm like, I actually need you. So don't be afraid to need someone. But only in the sense that, like my friend Teresa, we're friends, companions. Need, but not rely on. Need, but not you are responsible for my problems. You are responsible for your problems. It doesn't matter who assaulted you. I mean, it does. Totally. Go get them if you can. But the bottom line, and I'm going to double down because I said before and I got some flack for it, I have cut people out of my program, and I do. If I can't get through, if you're just going to continue wallowing instead of surviving and changing your behavior, then I feel like I'm failing. And believe it or not, I'm human too, and I need to feel like I am successful. So I need to feel successful in my business, feelgoodfairtrade.com. I need to feel successful that what I'm saying actually is changing lives. And if your life isn't changing, then I'm not going to kick my own ass about it. I'm going to say, I'm trying to equip you with everything I know. But the buck stops here with you. It's your responsibility. And as I've said before, it sounds harsh, but the goddamn truth is nobody cares but you. The people who love you, they care about you. They care about your mental health. They care about how you fit into their world and the family, how you take care of your children, whatever. But nobody can get in your head and fix you but you. So the first way to fix yourself is to stop thinking you're so goddamn broken. You're a normal sexual assault survivor. You have issues. I have issues. I deal with them. I disassociate so well. It used to be a thing that was saved me, I see now. My ability to disappear at the times I was being raped was the reason I'm still here. I mean, I did try to kill myself twice in my teen years, and a support system and knowing that I wasn't the only one would have changed that picture. Feeling that I wasn't the dirty one, feeling that the shame was not mine would have changed that picture. That's why the first step in my trigger management program is putting the blame and the guilt where it belongs. There is no age that you could be responsible for your own rape. My own ex-mother-in-law, whom my son has cut off for 2 years now because of it, messaged me and said that I was disgusting, that I was talking about this here, doing what I'm doing, that I deserved what I got, that she said instigated, that she believes I instigated my own rape and assault. So you get that crap, even from ex-mother-in-laws. And you know what? You have to look at them and just go, you can't care anymore. You can't care. So tell people what happened to you. It's not your fault. If you don't tell, fine, but at least know, even if you were a teenager, and when an adult solicits a teen for sex, the adult is the one with the problem, and society is the one with the problem, that us as teens don't know how to respond. You know, I was groomed from such a young age, and I never, ever, ever, ever lose the people that are like, well, it's my fault because I didn't tell. And I've tried to teach and I've tried to talk about it, and you're here, we don't tell because society has taught us that then we're dirty and yucky and we can't be redeemed. So get over it. part of using disassociation for your own good is to disassociate from the assholes and the abusers and the assaulters in your life, even if that is your own mother, father, or husband. Move on. So disassociate for your own good. And another double down. I guess in light of Afghanistan and the things I've said, I just can't seem to stop getting messages from people who are telling me that I don't respect the culture. The women are fine. It's like, no, they're not. 19 million women and children who have had 20 years of relative freedom in Afghanistan just got completely fucked over by us and the president I voted for. And I'm still glad Trump's fucking evil, crazy, but at least I thought Biden's head was in the right space. Now, any other Dem, that's what I'm saying. Any other Dem 2024. President Biden, I'm shocked and ashamed. When you say, oh, we knew that we thought it would be weeks or months before the Taliban took over. Well, what was the plan for all of our military or billions of dollars worth of equipment? If you knew they were going to take over eventually, why the hell didn't you make a plan that got our equipment out of there or at least destroyed it first? This is insanity. We have the right as women on this planet. And this is, we're talking about Afghanistan now, but it just woke me up again. I was called a crazy wokeism lesbian. It's like, well, I actually like dick. If I was lesbian, that'd be fine. Haven't met the right woman yet, I suppose. We'll see. I'm open-minded. But the point is, I don't give a goddamn that pussy-ass men ran out on their women because they're not their women. That's my whole point. Change the language of society. Women all over this planet, on most of this planet, most women are subjugated to the patriarchy. Most women are subjugated by men. Men decide what they're going to do, where they're going to go, when they're going to work, who they're going to marry, what they do with their vaginas. Sexual pleasure, I talk about that and I'm called a whore. I'm a whore because my orgasm is more important to me than yours. I want you, if you're the one having sex with me, to have a mind-blowing orgasm. But if I'm not, then I don't give a goddamn about you because it works together. Does that make me a whore? That I want self-pleasure? No, it's disgusting that most of the world doesn't even teach their children that their own pleasure matters, men or women, and especially women. And I'm here to change that. And you should change it with me. So disassociate for good. Disassociate from the assholes, from your religion. Separate the part of your religion that is the God and the love you experience that you are drawn to. Separate the cultural part that tells you who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to act and who should control you. If you think a man should control you, you should not be on my thread, unless it's to stick in and be convinced. It is time to start thinking globally about human rights and the rights of women and others. And I got so much flack for posting last week, Sunday, to stop the people that are trying to keep women submissive and others non-existent. Cultures that keep women submissive and others non-existent. A bunch of white and black and Arab and Hispanic and Asian, all of the above, men, threw down to tell me that I'm a crazy, horrible piece of shit. So they're worried. They're running. Good. Worry and run. Because I am just getting started with you, me and the other women in this world and others and everybody who's got a brain. So disassociate. You don't have to hang out with family. You don't have to hang out with a spouse. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Get your life together. If you need one-on-one help, call me. I will coach you. We will work on this. But for God sake, determine your own destiny, women, and fight for the women of this world. So, I'm disgusted. I might just run for office myself at this point. We'll see. I will talk to you on Thursday, and we're going to talk a little more. You know what? No, I'm not done. I want to go a little deeper into dissociation because I was trying to explain. I've explained it a few times. And if you have PTSD, anyone I've talked to that actually has PTSD totally gets this. I mean, you get it. It's a body memory. It's something we can't control. It's instantaneous. It comes from a part of ourselves that has never been filed away. That trauma lives in your body. It lives in body memory. And that is why when it washes over you, so often we jump down that rabbit hole I spoke of earlier of despair or anything, crying, tears, blackouts, whatever it takes to stop the despair and the trauma, because you're re-experiencing it all over again. So when that happens, when you feel that come over you, I reiterate, this is such a simple lesson, but it's so important. You still have a sense, I do, and the people I talk to can say, yes, I still have a sense that I'm in the current time, but it's so pervasive. I feel like I've been sucked back in time, but they still know they're in this. You have to grasp that I'm in this time. You have to grasp it by saying the most mundane things. I say my name. I say it's 2021. It's August 24th. That's a brick wall. I am in my patio. I'm going to go jump in the pool. Whatever. You just say facts. Pull yourself out of jumping in that hole, because if you get all upset, it feels amazing for a little while, and then you feel like crap. And everybody thinks you're crazy. So, yes, I am mentally ill. Deal. I think y'all are. I think everybody is one way or the other. At least I know what my particular mental illness is, and I've taken steps to mitigate it and have this wonderful business, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Please go buy all your holiday gifts there. We ship in 2 to 5 days. We warehouse in America and buy from women, artisan entrepreneurs who are doing amazing work. And we buy their work outright and warehouse it in America so we can ship to you as fast as Amazon. You can go to sweetsurvivor.com, which is part of Feel Good Fair Trade right now as I introduce it, but I'm launching it on my birthday, September 2nd, 4th, technically, and it'll have its own storefront and its own merchandise, and we rescue victims of trafficking and assault. Join me. Do good in the world, and for God's sake, stop kicking your own ass. If you're going to disassociate, don't disassociate from the things that you need. Disassociate from the people who are keeping you from the things that you need. I'll talk to you Thursday. Bye. Linda Kagerford, sexual assault survivor. Be a survivor.